Welcome to the Journey to CEO Success. This is a podcast, and I'm your host, Melissa Saunders. And I'm along with Patrick Thean, entrepreneur, CEO coach, and a USA Today and Wall Street Journal best-selling author. His latest book, The Journey to CEO Success, is a #1 Amazon bestseller. Yay, awesome, Patrick, and it's great to see you again.
Thank you, Melissa.
And you know what? We have an amazing guy with us today. I'm so excited to hear about his journey. We'd like to welcome Stuart Bentley to our podcast. Stuart is the chair and co-founder of triOS Education Group, and that's the parent company of Eastern College, triOS, College Business Technology Healthcare, Inc., and Life Cycle Systems Corporation. He has served on several private and public company boards of directors and currently serves on the board of AME Learning, the New Brunswick Association of Private Colleges and Universities, and the National Association of Career Colleges, that board. That's a bunch of letters in there, Mr. Stewart. He's an active member of the Young Presidents Association and Chief Executive Organization. Stuart has a Bachelor of Commerce degree from Macalester University. Stuart, thank you for joining us today, and welcome to Patrick's LinkedIn Live.
Well, thank you. I'm super excited to be here today, and great to see you, Patrick. We've met a couple times over the years.
Yes, thank you. Well, welcome to our show. I always say that 70% of we spend about 70% of our waking hours at work. So the journey is important. And as leaders, we have a tough, rewarding, but very, very tough job. So, my desire is to have everyone enjoy their journey, achieve their dreams with lots of success and joy along the way. I'd like to open up by maybe you sharing a little bit about yourself. Take about 5 minutes and give us a brief synopsis of your journey from the beginning of your career to where you are today.
Great. So I graduated in 1986 from McMaster University in Ontario, Canada, business degree, and found myself in the first job at a computer distribution company. And so I spent the first 3 years of my career in sales roles, marketing computer products as the computer industry was in its infancy for the PCs. So lots of great experiences in that, and I moved on about 3 years into it to a computer reseller organization, and within 3 weeks of joining that organization, I started a computer distribution business with them. So I had a number of years of success in building that business as a leader of that organization. And along the way, we needed to train people to use the computer parts and computer programs that we marketed, and that's how triOS came to be. So
I'm really curious, dude. How much you started your business really quickly? So how much working experience did you have before you jumped into your journey as an entrepreneur?
3 years, but I did have,
Okay.
during high school, I say I started, in grade school as a paperboy delivering local newspapers.
Yeah.
And one thing I learned is how to collect money from the customers. So that was
that's great.
Early learning.
Yeah, we got to come back to that. I didn't want to. I should have interrupted you. I apologize. Keep going about your intro, but we're going to come back to that. We got to come back and explore the early part of your journey.
Yeah. So the organization triOS was founded in 1993, and we have grown significantly through corporate training and into career training. So the business focuses on training adults for new careers in business technology, healthcare, supply chain law, a whole series of over 40 different programs. That business has built itself to 16 campuses across 3 provinces in Canada, and we're one of the leaders in the country in retraining and reskilling of workers. The average age of our student is about 33, so it's a little older than a recent college graduate, but we have a range from 18 to 65 in terms of the age groups of people that are looking at doing retraining. So been at that. We bought a few companies along the way, and we've really focused on growing the business successfully. And it's not without its ups and downs and changes in government policies and funding and things like that along the way. But we're one of the survivors.
So, your journey is really interesting and unique. A couple of things I want to come back to your starting, because you said you had about 3 years of experience work before you started your company. What's really interesting, sounds like you've been with you started this company, you've been with it your entire career. So first of all, Stuart, congratulations. That's awesome. I meet thousands of entrepreneurs and business people because I speak all over the world, but I haven't met that many people that can say what you just said, that started something a couple of years. By the way, I also did about 2 years and 9 months of working experience at Oracle before I started my first company. But I didn't get to run that first company for my entire career like you have yours. So, like I said, congratulations. Tell us about this journey, though. How did you achieve this?
I think we were young and stupid when I think about it. Like we just jumped in not knowing what we
Yeah.
didn't know, and just figured it out along the way. I have a fantastic business partner, Frank Garenzer, who we've been business partners for almost 36 years now. And we both have different skill sets. We're complementary to each other, and we've used that successfully to grow our businesses. And we've supported each other when we've made the wrong decisions, and supported each other when we've made the right decisions. So it's been an interesting journey, and one that, when you get bored along the way, we just started another company. So, I feel
So
like
were you guys good friends? Were you guys good friends in school or something, or did you just meet him professionally?
my first sales call when I graduated out of university, I met him, the first customer that I ever met. Right?
Wow.
So
You must have done a great job selling him.
it was a great opportunity that we hit it off, and I did some work supporting them for 3 years, and then joined his organization. So, and then we became partners a couple of years later in it, and focused on growing our businesses together.
Stuart, how
So
many I'm sorry, how many
no,
students would you say have gone through your program?
So we daily in class, it ranges between 5,000 and 10,000 students
Wow.
across the multiple locations that we have. So we're a pretty sizable organization, sizable school. We have about 900 employees, and half of those are more than half are instructors that are actually teaching our programs to the students.
And I noticed on your website, and I'll put the QR code up here, it looks like you have once they graduate, you have a very high acceptance rate of finding jobs for them.
Yeah, I mean, I would say to pretty much anybody that I speak to that I'm actually in the job placement business than the education business. It's critical that our team supports the graduates to achieve the dream that they had of when they signed
yes.
up for school. They wanted to change careers or start a new career, and that's what we do to help them prepare for that, and introduce them to employers for hiring them. So it's a super important part of our organizational goals.
So a couple of nuggets of real learnings you just gave us, by the way. I don't know if you know this or not, but again, I have interviewed and talked to so many entrepreneurs. It is really hard to find a partnership that has lasted 30 years. And I'd love to know, what mini lessons you could give us, some tips on why your partnership has flourished for so many years, and what did you guys do when you guys had disagreements, etc. But yeah, how did you do this? It's a really amazing journey you've been on.
Well, I think the most important thing is trust, and building the trust between myself and my business partner, and being able to understand the goals and objectives that each of us have. We're very aligned from the mission, vision, and values of our organization and how we do things. We have a Kaizen-like approach to continually improving the organization and so forth. And together we'll make a decision. Sometimes we don't agree, but for the most part, we talk it through and finalize a decision and support it. If we don't agree, we support it and continue down the pathway and then evolve if it's not the right answer. But the most important thing is the trust and working together to move forward regardless of the circumstances that you find yourself in as an entrepreneur, which is boom and bust in early parts of our career, and now has a much more stable approach to it.
And how did you do that? How do you? Because trust to me doesn't happen. Always organically. I mean, of course, there's good natural pieces to start with. Just like I know my marriage with my wife we've worked at it, right? I've been married 35 years and with a great marriage, but it takes work. So it's not just auto magic, as I like to say. So what have you done, the two of you, that has continued to build the trust and build on the trust and keep the trust that you guys have?
So a couple of things we do is we have regular meeting cadence where the two of us meet and talk about strategy of the business and the opportunities that we're working on, the challenges that we're facing, and we work through those regularly. Scheduled meetings, but also impromptu meetings. There's been a million phone calls at 8 o'clock at night over the years, or at 7 in the morning when we're heading out, just to talk through some of the business issues that we face. And if one of us screws up, the other supports them, and that's critical. We don't badmouth a decision that was made. We made the decision together, and one sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong, and we just continue to ensure that we're supportive of the other person and what they're doing.
That's great. That's wonderful. So what is your dream now? What do you, I should ask the question actually, what was your dream when you started the business with your partner? And is it the same dream after 30 years? And what is your dream today for the company?
Well, so if I go back 30 years ago, the dream had much smaller scale to it. And so, we only wanted to, train so many people, and now we have, training 10,000 people a day. We want to continue to grow that as an we change the lives of as many people as we can. So we're originally started in one location. We have, 16 school locations now. We have a very thriving online and remote education business that we've been able to teach people in tiny little communities all over the country to get them in a position where they can graduate and get a job. So we're just continuing down that pathway, looking at expanding the types of programs we offer as the market changes. So, we've included AI training in all of our IT programs now, and following kind of the trends in the marketplace to what employers want.
What are some of the programs, Stuart, that someone could go to your college and leave with?
So we started out, because we were in the computer industry when we started, our initial program offering was information technology programs. And back in the heyday, Microsoft had their Microsoft Certified Systems Engineer. We trained more people to get certified in that than any other organization in the country. And, we've continued down that pathway, although IT is only about 30% of our student base now. We expanded into business programs, paralegal programs, and healthcare programs. And some of that was out of necessity. If you remember the Y2K bust.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Our business tanked when nobody's computers broke in 2000, right? And so we had to add, the business programs and the healthcare programs into the mix, and now we're, healthcare is a huge part of our program, helping people stay in their homes longer, which is, as the boomers age, they don't want to move into a facility. They want to stay in their homes, and so we have a lot of personal support worker type programs and pharmacy technicians and programs like that, child and youth care, just a real broad range, early childhood education programs that we train our students on today.
No, I love how you have a real focus on making sure that your students get jobs, right? It's not just about training them, getting educated, but you really clearly have the end in mind that, hey, it's not just about getting trained, it's about getting jobs as well. And that's the main thing. So that's really a good successful thought.
And that comes from the roots that we have. As a computer distribution company, we had to partner with other companies to sell the computer products. So we have a strong partnering mentality within the mindset of certainly Frank and I and some of the staff that have been with us for a long time. And so we partner with employers, and we continually meet with employers, talk to employers about the skill needs that they have in their industry, and work together to create programs to support that.
Stuart, would you, looking at yourself now, would your younger self ever believe that you would have created such a large training company? Like what did little Stuart want? What did you want to be when you grew up?
Yeah, I think the journey along the way when I started was just to be an entrepreneur. Like I really liked the idea of working for myself. I mentioned I started as a paperboy, but during high school, I also had a auto parts selling business and a window cleaning business.
Really?
On the way. So it's kind of been in my mindset. I watched some of my parents' friends and found that the ones that were most successful were in business for themselves, and I kind of emulated that, and that was my goal along the way. There was never specifically a goal to be as large as we are now, and I'm proud of that, but I also wake up every day worrying about that. So we never stop worrying about what are the things that are coming down the road that could impact our business and the success that we've had, and don't let it go to your head.
It's good. That's good.
One of the things that I wanted to showcase is early in my career, I read a ton, and I still do read a ton of books and stuff. But one of the things that I found that I employed as a tool in our business early was time pacing. So setting goals and deadlines and expectations of our team. And that brought me to the Rhythm platform, which is very aligned with what we do as a business. And I found that there was a good synergy between what your organization has developed and the belief that we've always had as an organization, and me specifically, about the importance of continually setting goals for yourself and deadlines and making sure that your team is achieving them.
Yeah, I think by doing that, you've given your team members a really better life. I remember years ago, my first company, I met Stephen Covey, and this is before Stephen Covey became super famous. And I introduced Covey's 7 Habits to my whole company, and everyone got trained in that. I always like to say that the reason why we have Rhythm is because Stephen Covey was really good for the individual. But what we do is we help corporations actually have the right habits for success. So time management, energy management is how I look at it. It's really how you're managing your energy. And I always say that time time is the most democratizing commodity because God gave you and me the exact same amount of time every single day, 24 hours, right? Rich, poor, doesn't really matter. We all get 24 hours a day. How you maximize or use that is your choice. What are you productive at work? Whether you have enough time to have joy with your family and friends. I've found over the years that it takes that kind of balance to maintain the kind of career you've had. I'm wondering your thoughts on that.
Well, I mean, I think I suffered in the way that so many people do early in my career of working long hours,
Yes.
sacrificing time at home, and so forth, and it, you know, it came along the way in mid-career that that wasn't necessarily the right way to live your life. So I've tried to balance, and I've been more successful at it certainly in the last 10 years than I was in the first, 25 years of my career, and finding that balance and being okay that you're off doing something unrelated to work, and then you'll have a great idea that comes out of that
That's
interaction you might have had, and it helps keep things fresh. And so I'm a believer in taking that time to yourself, and trying to find ways to continually improve and continually innovate in our organization.
I think it would be interesting to look at how many kids delivered papers, sold Girl Scout cookies, and how many of those are entrepreneurs today. Because when you think about it, it's setting the stage for, sort of going out there, making your own way. It's hard getting up, I'm sure, every morning to deliver that paper, but it taught you a lot about business and making money.
Right, and nobody delivers papers anymore, though. So
That's true. How are
change,
we going to
change
educate?
the mindset of younger people to how they can do things entrepreneurially, whether that's through
Yeah.
video game development or app development and so forth, and
That's
you know,
true.
promoting a different way of having early entrepreneurial tendencies. I don't think schools do a great job of doing that. We just launched a new program. It's just going live, about business entrepreneurship and management. So we've integrated some entrepreneurial type programs into our business courses to
Nice.
help people, understand and leverage the opportunity that they may have ahead of them as they start out in their careers.
Yeah,
So,
oh,
so
go ahead.
yeah. So, I want to examine in the time we have left. I want to examine a little bit more of you as a leader. So I
Mhm.
have what I call a time machine question, with your experience today, if you travel back with all your experience today, right? Like I always say, Monday's quarterback has all the right answers. So if you travel back in time to a critical crisis that you had in your younger days, somewhere in the middle of your career, what advice would you give that younger person facing a crisis?
Well, I think firstly, be able to examine it from multiple angles, right? So don't just take what the impact is on me. Look at the impact that it has on your customers first and foremost, but also on your employees, and ensure that you've thought through the solutions to those crises from all aspects. So like a 360-degree review of
Mm.
the challenge that you face before you act on it. I also think it's important to act, and sometimes you'll act
Mm,
and it's not the right act, but doing nothing is far worse, and
Mm.
delaying the inevitable of action uh,
Yeah.
is a challenge. And
Mm.
I tend to be not shoot first, but would lean towards us just dealing and doing something right away whenever there's a crisis, rather than let it sit and get worse.
Mm. That's
so
such
take
great
action,
advice.
and then you can edit or you can alter your action or adjust it based on what you see as well, right?
Yeah. And the other
Yeah.
thing I would say is developing other leaders in your organization is critical. And if I was to go back 30 years, I probably didn't do a good enough job early in my career on that. And now, I mentor a number of upcoming leaders in our organization as part of my day job, right? And it's important to,
Give back.
create the environment for that to happen, and other executive members to help support that. We just gave every one of our senior executives a mandate to mentor somebody in the organization who doesn't report to them, right?
Oh, nice.
As part of our development of people strategy.
Now, is your organization more office based or remote?
Well,
Different.
we were prior to COVID, we were 100% in office, in campus, and then
Yeah.
through COVID, we obviously weren't able to do that. Canada had some pretty tough rules on isolating yourselves during COVID, and so as an organization, we've had to evolve to a remote organization, and we continue to be a remote organization. One of the regrets that I have is in 2020, in February of 2020, we signed a lease for a new 15,000 square foot head
Yes.
office building, and a month later there was nobody in it, and
Yes.
we're locked into that building now for 10 years. Yeah, if there's 7 people in it on a day, that's a big group.
Yeah.
That's funny. It's like two questions for you there. Actually, one is an observation that you actually did. I actually did the same thing as you. Just thank goodness I had a slightly smaller scale than you. I didn't sign up for 15,000 square feet. I had about 3,000 something. But literally, we moved into a new office in Charlotte, January 2020, and then by March there's no one there. So it's but my question was going to be, now that you have this partially remote thing, how do you do this mentoring? Because I'm very curious to examine how in a remote world we can continue mentoring, because I've always found that part of the mentoring thing that worked for me was bumping to people at the office and then having a more personal connection, and then mentoring kind of was a little bit easier to happen. Today with remote work, if you're not in a Zoom meeting or if you didn't schedule a meeting, then you don't have a meeting. So how have you guys achieved this in a remote environment?
We've focused on on Zoom like meetings like this, and just have to work harder at getting to know people more, creating a little bit of one-on-one time with people that you're talking to, so that if there's 20 people in a room, you may have a meeting with somebody outside of the room just to get to know them better. It's way more difficult, and the serendipity of the bumping into the water cooler, the idea that comes out of that is way more difficult to achieve. And I find that as an organization, I don't think remote is as innovative. So we have to kind of push that innovation and use our executive team meetings and our management team meetings to talk about innovation and talk about new ideas, and let people work together to brainstorm on them. But it's certainly much more difficult than it used to be. But we also have the ability to have talent that we never would have had before, because they didn't live an hour from the office. So that's created a level of innovation and ability for the company to grow.
Have you done anything specific? Have you done anything specific to regarding your culture to maintain the kind of culture you have in the remote world?
We do a lot of employee training, and so we've always been an organization, because we're in the education space. We have a natural desire to educate our employees. We've created learning portals and cultivated a lot of great books or courses from other organizations and other leaders, and we spend a lot of time with our employees, giving them the freedom to be able to take those courses whenever they want. And then we've taken the best ones that that we have dealt with and learned from as executives and have customized those for our organization. We do a leadership training event. There's one coming up in April this year where we have about 70 managers in the organization that will all be together for 3 days with a very tailored program for leadership as what that means in our organization.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So my final question, Stuart, is what advice can you leave our audience? And this is a question I ask all my guests. What advice can you leave our audience for them to have the best journey for a successful and joyful life?
Well, I think one thing is find a mentor, and if you can identify a mentor early on in your career. I mean, I was very self-reliant. My business partner and I mentored each other, but we didn't necessarily have a mentor until we brought together a board of advisors in our business. But I think that's important to find that. Continue to read and learn everything you can about not only personal development, but business development, organizational development, and find tools that help you speed up your organization and enable them to make decisions quickly, pivot quickly when the market changes or your customers change, and really focus on doing a few things really well, right? And try to do everything. That's always the biggest battle of pick the things your company's good at and try and enhance those services and use those to really differentiate yourself. And then tell your customers what you're good at. In our case, telling our students what we're good at and ensuring that they understand how to work together with us.
Stuart, you have provided really great feedback today, and we appreciate you being on our show. I think,
Yes.
Starting early with entrepreneurship, asking the companies that you surround yourself with what type of employee they're looking for so that you can train to that, and then setting up a mentorship within your own company to make sure you grow those potentially younger managers into potential CEOs one day. I think that's really my main takeaway, and hopefully the listeners today all were able to take their own thing away from it. And it's always around lunchtime, so I always try to ask, if we were hitting the road together on a road trip for a journey, what's that one snack that has to absolutely come with you on the ride?
Unfortunately, I think it's potato chips.
Oh yeah. Do you have a favorite kind or just any chip? I love chips too.
Yeah, no, I salt and vinegar seems to be my favorite.
Yeah,
That's
that's
amazing.
awesome.
There's lots of things I'd like to take on a road trip, but they're really hard to eat, right?
Yeah, tacos and barbecue. I wouldn't recommend tacos and barbecue, man. That would be hard. But I think chips are always kind of nice. Little bit of salt, and it's all just in your hand. So I love that. Well, I want to encourage listeners, if they haven't already done so, purchase the Journey to CEO Success book. Stuart mentioned his love of reading. This would be a great book for everyone to read. It talks about 7 habits that people can harvest to then become better CEOs or to become a CEO. But until next time, please go out there, get dirty and take your shoes off, but enjoy that journey. Until next time, bye.